Okay, thank you. Today is November 5th. It is 5:03. This is a meeting of the Planning Advisory Board. We'll call the meeting to order. I'll do a roll call at this time. Lawrence Blevins.
Present.
Edward Evans.
Present.
Michael DePietro.
Present.
Van Mason.
Present.
Elizabeth Rossboard.
Present.
And myself, Gus Kurtz. So 6 members, we have a quorum. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Like a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 22nd.
Second.
Motion been made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Tonight's agenda will start with a briefing on the new comprehensive zoning applications in Region 5 and 6 submitted during the PAB review earlier this fall. There were no new comprehensive zoning applications submitted for Region 8. Later, the PAB will deliberate on the draft Region 6 plan and comprehensive zoning map and the draft Region 8 plan and comprehensive zoning map. We will not take public comments on Region 6 and 8 tonight. So with no further ado, I'll turn it over to Region 5, Sam Myers, and Region 6, Patrick Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Eric Kettling. I'm the senior planner for the Region 8 team. I just want to give a quick overview and an intro before we get to the new applications. Before we get too far into this, I just again want to say thank you to everybody who's been a part of this process. It's been a very long effort, various county departments, various stakeholders, members of the public. So thank you all for your help and your time, and you all as well for being here tonight. We're excited to bring Region 6 and 8 to y'all for deliberation. As you said, Mr. Chair, I think what you said was pretty spot on. We're going to talk about the new applications submitted first for Region 5 and 6. There were no new applications for Region 8. And then we'll get right into the Region 6 deliberation. The plan will be discussed and deliberated, as well as the comp zoning, plan land use, and any DPA changes. And then the same for Region 8 before we wrap up tonight. If we need an additional meeting, maybe next slide, actually. So if we need an additional meeting, because tonight is a heavy workload, we have the next Wednesday available and reserved to discuss whatever we need to. But again, we are hoping to get through both tonight. This slide, again, just kind of a quick refresher, an overview of the process, the next steps, eventually being county council in the winter of this year, early next year is the goal. And again, tonight we'll be focusing on Region 6 and 8. Region 5 will have its own deliberation meeting on November 19th. And again, just to reiterate that at each stage of this process, there have been, the libraries have had draft copies of these plans and access online mapping tools for people who didn't have it, get their access to their own help. Next slide. And then finally, quick, this is just another key outreach phases we've done. I mean, with the initial questionnaire, the different feedback maps, the draft zoning, and then also wanted to include PAB public testimony as part of this outreach we've been doing. I know we've had good turnouts at each of the different public testimony meetings we've had for you all. And we're excited to begin wrapping this up with you all. So again, I'm gonna pass it over to Sam, and we can get started with the new applications for Region 5.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Myers. I was a planner on the Region 5 team. Like Eric said, I will be reviewing the new applications that were received for Region 5. And Patrick Hughes will also review the applications received for Region 6. These new applications were received through the initial testimony period between September 17th and October 22nd. These will be later deliberated at your December 3rd meeting. Region 5 had received 5 new applications, while Region 6 had received 2 new applications. And getting right into it, this first one is located at 1079A Maryland 3 North Lane. The adopted zoning is C2 and R5, C2 being on the frontage and R5 at the rear. It's about the planned land use is commercial and low medium density residential. Similar to the zoning, the commercial planned land use is at the front. Low medium residential is at the rear. The applicant has requested that the property be rezoned to entirely C4. The keynote for this is on the map, you see there, we have the existing CZ application, which is Crofton CFT 0005. Originally, the applicant for this property, or the representing agent, noted that that was filed in error. He actually meant for the application to be filed for this property. So Crofton 0005 will be removed. But now this application has been filed correctly. And again, the applicant is seeking to rezone the property to entirely C4 to allow for historic car restoration business. And to orient you to where this is located, Maryland 3, that's Maryland 3 South Lane across the street. That's where the auto zone and Taco Bell is located. And then to the north, there's some childcare facilities and then some other commercial uses south. So again, the applicant is seeking C4 for the entirety of the property. And I will note that at this time, OPZ has not provided recommended zoning. We are waiting for testimony for the properties on these, testimony on these new comprehensive zoning applications.
What is the size of the property?
Size of the property.
So we're pulling 0005.
Mhm.
And their intent was 0500 originally. So this 005 is the same person, but they filed it under the wrong ad.
Correct, yeah, the difference in address, while the first one was under 1039 Maryland 3 North, or Maryland 3 North Lane, this one is 1039A Maryland 3 North Lane.
So they asked me still to do 1079?
No, that one has to be removed because the applicant had filed that one in error. That was not his, that's not his, the applicant or the representative is with this property owner, not the one that was filed in there. That would have to be removed because the property owner never requested that.
So
that change.
0005 A and B are currently zoned what?
R5 and C2.
I had that on a list of questions too, because the comment from someone from the public talked about backing to a lease court.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's a huge buffer in between that property. But that makes sense now.
So they're requesting C4 to go right up against the residential neighborhood.
That is correct.
There was a question for the property size. I think it's approximately 3.1 acres.
Double check.
Okay,
Yeah, it's about 3 acres.
So are you taking, this one land is 2 acres, so you're taking this one off,
Yes,
Together?
this one's out.
but it's the same thing,
How much are going to basically be the same?
and it's split R5 and C2, and you want to go to all C2.
The
The
current
other
app is
one-
all C4 for the new
All
application.
One on
C4.
C4.
okay, sorry.
Yep.
And what is happening on the property at the moment? Is there a car restoration business?
I believe it's just a single family residence. There's a structure.
That's very.
That is, so there's the flag lot, there's an access road, and then the larger, there's a structure, and I believe a residential home that currently exists on the parcel.
Is the property owned by the same owner, all the parcels?
It's one parcel, but yeah, so the owner for this one is different from the owner that for CFT 0005. But again, that one's being removed because the agent had filed that one in error. So this is the
The
application
previous request was those 2 lots, those 2 square lots.
for entirely C4.
Okay.
Right.
That recommendation was to rezone them all to C2 with the DPA recommendation to bring it into critical corridor for future study. That's removed. The application, that is going to be removed. Okay. The DPA recommendation is currently still being recommended. And then we have this new application as well.
And I'm sorry, Jessica, what was the actual acres?
Approximately 3 acres.
Any other questions, board members?
Go to the next one. This,
Can you go back?
Sure.
I don't have my glasses, but CZR 5 CPT 1239.
On the right,
Other line.
The one on the right.
On the up to the north, that looks like it's just a consistency change, most
it's a little dotted
Just that
line.
little piece.
That little piece
That
right
little-
there.
And the one below it, is that a consistent change also?
Yeah, and even one in the light gray dash, that's a consistency
Consistent,
change. The
okay.
darker ones, those are gonna be staff recommendations or comprehensive zoning applications.
And if you can't see the dashes from your seat, you can see the numbers. It's a purple number, that's a consistency change. If it's a gray number, then that's a comprehensive zoning change.
Thank you.
This next one, this is 2419 Blooming Way. The number is gonna be CZR5GAM0500. It's currently adopted RA zoning with an adopted plan land use of low, medium density residential. The property owner had received received a consistency change letter from OPZ stating that OPZ was recommending a consistency change from RA to R5 so that the zoning is consistent with the adopted plan land use. The property owner has since filed an application requesting R10 being applied to the property to allow for redevelopment and residential subdivision of the property. Specifically, I think they are seeking to develop townhomes on this parcel. To orient you to this location, to the east, we have Wall Chapel Road, which is off screen, but then we have Sympathy Lane coming in from the west. Directly south of the parcel, that large purple area at the reliable asphalt and aggregate plant. So it's a W3 heavy industrial site. And then to the west, that lighter green area is Tolson Associates of Reclamation property. This community is within the Four Seasons Estate subdivision, which is currently zoned R5. But again, the property owner has requested the property be rezoned to R10.
So you did the consistency change, because right now it's RA surrounded by R5.
Correct.
And he wants to go to R10, and how many acres is it?
Crop. And confirm on the exact. It is 2.1 acres, about 2.2 acres.
Where's Route 3 in comparison to where this is?
So Route 3, so the big purple area, that's a reliable asphalt plant. Directly south of that, that's Wall Chapel Phase 2. And then that up in front of Wall Chapel is Route 3. So the way you would access is that you'd come northbound on Wall Chapel Road and turn left on the Sympathy Lane, which is the Four Seasons Estate subdivision.
Okay,
So that approximately 2 acres.
Mhm.
Currently, is there road access to that?
Yeah, so at the very southern tip of Blooming Way, there's an access parcel. The property owner doesn't officially own that, but she has access to the parcel through that smaller.
A right of
rectangle.
way?
Yeah, but it's not a right of way easement, it's actually a.
The original
parcel.
subdivision, was that property intended to be used as a park or reserved for open space? And was that why it was RA and everything around it was R5?
Now there's a single family on it.
I would have to get back on the official history. I think looking at historic imagery, I think the home was there before the subdivision, but I have to get back on your question. Yeah.
Single family. And it was built in 1966, so.
Any questions on this? So their request is for R10.
Yeah, it's on the.
But they're surrounded by R5.
I don't think they're gonna get that many townhomes there. I mean, it's only 2 acres, but
And then comes in there. You just didn't go out.
Right.
But doesn't have any buildings up there. Yeah. Back off it.
Okay,
We're ready to move on. This next one is located, this is, the official property area, is no number Brandy Farms Lane, tax map 37, parcel 71. The road that is to the directly to the southwest, that's St. Stephen Church Road. This application is noted as,
But now you're back in, oh, sorry.
yeah, is noted as GAM 0501. It's adopted zoning as RLD, adopted plan land use as rural. The property owner has requested that it be zoned entirely R10 to allow for more dense residential uses. Something important to note was that this was part of a deferred land use change application, Luca 79, that was applied for in Plan 2040. They requested the commercial plan land use on MD3 frontage and high density residential on the rural portion. Ultimately, it was adopted to be rural plan land use on this section. The applicant has now again requested R10 be applied to this area.
Size of the property, and is that in planned water sewer?
Yeah, so the size of the property is,
And I have the same question with 500.
yeah,
Is
so
that in the planned water sewer?
it's 8.71 acres. We are in planned sewer and water service. So it's not existing, it's just planned at the moment. And for 500, that existing water and sewer for Blooming Way. But again, for this one, it is in planned service for both sewer and water. Another note is it's also within the critical corridor DPA. So we have rural plan land use, but critical corridor DPA in this case.
Can you repeat what you said about the Luca, please?
So during Plan 2040, a land use change application, Lucas 79 was applied for the parcel to apply commercial plan land use on area that fronts on Route 3, and then apply high density residential to the area that is currently zoned RLD. But rural plan land use was ultimately adopted through that process.
But they were given the
Commercial,
on Route 3.
yeah. For those,
Which is in front.
yeah, in that front area, that's, I think that, I believe that's zone C2 current.
So let me see, GAM 0013, what do they want to do?
Zone 3,
That's
I believe
a
they
800
had,
block.
I believe they had requested C4. Let me double.
That's 2 acres is currently undeveloped. They wanted C4, recommendation was C2, and that's in C and OPZ.
To clarify, your GAM 0013. Yeah, so they requested C4. The current zoning C2 and OPZ is currently recommending C2 for that parcel.
But I do have a note, they have a Comcast building on one side and a self-storage on the other side.
That is correct. That is either Comcast or
Across the
Verizon.
street.
Across the street, I think that is.
Is C4, or is the self-storage across the street, or is it?
It's to the northern area that there's the application GAM 0013, then there's the C4 zoned area that's pink, that's the self-storage. Across the street from the existing commercial, that's the developed, that I believe is currently being developed in the median. That's been probably, I think it's most likely the developer.
South of 0013, that lighter pink area, is that C2?
C2.
C2?
Where's that yellow color again?
So that is a residential subdivision that's currently zoned R2. So single family detached dwellings.
You couldn't go with 79 planning, they were going to R10, or they were just highlighted that.
So they were requesting commercial on the front of Maryland 3 and then high density residential. The high density residential plan land use is consistent with R10. So now they've come in and applied for R10.
Any other questions, board members?
And you already answered it's on the plan, it's not there yet. The infrastructure, the water source.
Yeah, water sewer is currently in the plan service. So it's planned for, but I don't, there's no existing.
What school feeder systems?
I believe this is going to.
Are you gonna have to? No, forget it, everything. Everything on this.
I would have to, I'm trying to bring up information,
That's okay, we can,
but I can get back to you
Later.
with that information.
Yeah, we don't need it. It's not
okay.
till December 3rd.
What's the white area right behind?
So that's currently a recommendation. I believe that that area is currently split zone it's a subdivision that's currently split zone R2 and R1. Staff recommendation to align zoning with the built conditions of the subdivision. So staff is currently recommending R1 because those parcels are about an acre and are reflective of R1 zoning. Here, we'll move on. All right, so this is Evergreen Road, GAM 0502. To orient you to this location, to the southeast, that's Wall Chapel Phase 2. We have Brickhead Road, and then you have a left turn onto Evergreen. There's a water tower that you'd pass to get to this area. The adopted zone, the property owner had come in and requested, I mean, they own all these parcels. They've requested their adopted zoning is RLD, the adopted plan land use is rural, and they're requesting RA zoning to allow for resource extraction. Specifically, they're looking to do sand mining. The black dots that are the black dashed areas are those existing comprehensive zoning applications we had reviewed during our meeting with you with the PAB previously. What we see is for those property owners that are seeking residential upzoning, they've requested R1, R5, or R2, or some sort of residential upzoning. This property owner is requesting RA for resource extraction. There is existing and planned or there is no public sewer service because there is existing planned water service in this area. And again, they're requesting RA for resource extraction.
So resource extraction is allowed in RA,
Under RA, I believe it's a
but
special,
not,
I believe it's a special exception,
but
but I
not
need to
RLD.
I believe so, but I need to double check. I believe it's a special exception under RA.
That's an important question. And the size of that acreage,
That was one of the.
It is approximately. Very big.
and the purple is W.
It's about 45 acres. Yeah, and the purple to the northeast, there's a zone W3, so heavy industrial.
And they do mining there currently.
It's an asphalt, it's a reliable asphalt and aggregate plant.
And they want to put the 0015 is requesting to go from RLD to R1. You really want to build something? There?
Are you referring to GAM 05002414 Blooming Way?
No, 2664 Evergreen Road.
Yeah, so they are all, for the previous comprehensive zoning application for Evergreen Road, the applicants are seeking residential upzoning. This property owner is seeking RA for resource extraction. So at this time, this is the first that's it's been presented to the public, so they were either, this is their notice that this
Right.
application has been filed. So we have applicants who are requesting residential zoning, and then we have an applicant requesting
Yeah,
RA.
I'm
for
just
research.
thinking that mix isn't gonna go over very well. I wonder if they are aware, 0015, that 0502 requesting to become a mining site.
But the note on 0001 and 0002, the recommendation from P and Z and SAC were to keep it RLD.
Correct. At the time during the SIC discussion, they were not looking, they didn't recommend a residential of zoning at the time because they wanted to see testimony and feedback at when this was put out for public review. This area has not received, I mean, I think it's only received maybe 2 or 3 comments across most feedback periods at this time.
And they're recommending, because we see recommended keeping it RLD.
For
This one also.
CB, it's the POC right south of this property,
The darker green,
correct? What is that?
it's a park, it's Towser's Branch Park. So
Okay.
there's a basketball court, a dog run, and some of the forest area.
That's what that is. Okay, okay. And then, so the people to the left with the black dots, they want to build houses there?
I would need to double check their application. They're requesting a residential upzoning, so they may be trying to build a
Okay,
two
but
or three
it's,
additional.
but it's not sewer, it's only planned water.
It's existing water and then planned sewer.
But that note, is it because the,
Oh, sorry,
isn't that a consistency change because it's purple?
Let me clarify real quick. It's existing water and then rural service, so there's no sewer service.
That makes sense.
Mr. Alford,
Isn't it is it 1016 gonna be the dotted green on the left, not the dark, but the dotted green? Go over, that, nope, down,
Down,
in the black,
darker green.
go,
I think that's a recommendation.
nope.
Sorry.
They're just.
That's
Right there.
Just yeah, that's a consistency change to the right.
Yeah, so in this case, so that's, to the north, that parcel, that's where Capitol Raceway is, that's where the drag strip is.
Right.
It's currently split zone, I think it has RA, RLD and OS. That OS that you're referring to, that area is to be maintained, because of significant environmental resources that have been identified in that area. So we have Wall Chapel to the southeast, we have the reliable aggregate and asphalt plant to the northeast. Directly north, that's Tolson Associates at that reclamation site, and then to the southwest, that's the Capitol Raceway drag strip.
How big is that reclamation site?
Huge.
Let me see if I can get it.
Gotta zoom out on that one.
That one. That could be, that's a consistency,
So the property has
right?
reclamation site here, plant and asphalt plant.
It's purple.
Right.
It's got the black dash out.
Okay, and what's that number?
It is, that's POC 0003.
You gotta get saved from somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And this is gonna be the last one for Region 5. This is located at 876 Maple Road, GAM 0503. Property is currently split zone C1 and RLD with an adopted rural plan land use. OPZ had made a recommended consistency change to rezone the property to entirely RLD. The applicant has since applied for zoning change requesting MXDN to allow residential / office space for residential uses on the parcel. It's in the rural water and sewer service category. The lighter green, to orient you to where this property is, the lighter green to the southwest, that's where the Maryland corn maze is located. Currently the South Shores Trail is being constructed along Maple Road at the frontage of the property. And then to the northeast, that's a GAM 003, another application where the property owner had requested that the RLD area of their parcel be rezoned C3, so their parcel is entirely C3.
acreage size?
Is 5.4 acres.
Does that dip into the waterway that goes across that road area?
Are you? Not sure exactly.
So I think it's still further down.
There might be a tributary, without checking any mapping resources, there might be a tributary located at the rear of the property, because I know the Jabez is to the south, or to the northeast and flows
Okay, that's.
west and east, but I'm not sure without checking any mapping resources.
So the wood is going to where you, it looks like it cut right through the center of that property from your map.
Right here,
You
there's
see
the
how
line.
it's squiggly, yeah, right?
I couldn't even see that one.
Am I wrong?
That's like the,
Yeah,
it's the
believe that
Douglas
is-
branch, but that's like an automatic like way that it uploads. We'd have to check like our actual feature maps to tell you.
Currently on that site is
It's a single family home.
a residential house.
Okay, and again, the pink next to it,
It's the parcel is that one, that pink area is C1. There's this little bit of a strip. There's commercial, small scale commercial center. I believe there's a
Healthy House Massage
Yeah.
and CNR Medical Supply.
yes.
I'm not seeing
Remind
it.
me again, the water sewer terminology.
There's no public water or public sewer. It's in the rural service area.
And lumps and pieces.
That's what I thought, okay. Okay, that's what I thought.
So if there are any more questions, that would conclude the Region 5 new comprehensive zoning application. We'll now turn it over to Patrick Hughes for the new Region 6 comprehensive zoning. Unless you guys have any more questions.
And have we? These were sent to us,
These were received during the initial public testimony period for Region 5 and Region 6, that was between September 17th and October 22nd. We opened up the web application again for property owners who were seeking a zoning application to submit for the request.
yeah, but these are now all loaded onto Region 5 Hub.
They will not be reflected on the existing PAB comprehensive web viewer, if that's what you're.
That's what I'm asking.
They will not be on the web viewer at this time.
They are part of the summary from staff, and that will be posted on the hub site shortly.
Okay. Thank you.
Moving on. Ready? All right. Region 6, we only have 2 applications. This first one is, we've numbered it CRB 0500. This is about 12.8 acres. It's off of St. Stephen's Church Road. So that's the road running here. It doesn't front directly onto St. Stephen's Church Road. Current zoning is RA, which is what you see on the map there. The owner has requested R1 in order to be able to construct a house on just 1 acre of the property. This one is unique though, because, we've talked to the applicant about this, the issue that is preventing the owner from being able to build on this site, it's frankly not a zoning issue, it's a plat issue because the property is platted as open space and therefore it has building restrictions. And so we've talked to the applicant about that. And I think they've got to do some research to kind of unpack all of that. And so, but bottom line, a change in zoning is not gonna help him one way or the other to build on that site. So we've discussed that. So that's the first one.
The size of that property.
12.8 acres. And then the next one is, we've numbered it CRV 0501, and this is off of, it's on General's Highway at Sunrise Beach Road. You all probably drive by it. It's, the Bergman Cleaners Dry Cleaning, looks like an old gas station, maybe. Anyway, it's a 0.34 acre site, currently zoned C1. And that dry cleaning business has been there for ages. The owner has requested C4 in order to expand their existing dry cleaning business to be able to do more of the cleaning on site and not just, I believe that it is currently a dry cleaning pickup station at this point. This one, to let you know, C1 zoning currently, it already allows dry cleaning. But it does limit the size of a dry cleaning establishment to 4,000 square feet of floor area. And this building appears to be about 2,300 square feet, just by measuring from an aerial. So under C1 zoning, yes, it's allowed, but limited to 4,000 square feet. C3 and C4 zoning would allow for that dry cleaning to expand without limit. You know, as long as they meet all the other development requirements. So that's that's this request here, and those are the two that we received in Region 6. Go ahead.
Thank you. So it's currently, the size of the parcel itself is 0.34.
Right.
Okay. Can you convert that into square feet? Because if you say that you're allowed 4,000, it's currently 4,000, about 4,000 square feet.
No,
The Bergman,
14,000, about just under 15,000 square feet is the site area.
15,000. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And the 4,000 square foot reference. So C1 allows for a dry cleaning establishment, but it has to be less than 4,000
Okay,
square feet
got it.
of floor
Okay.
area. So that's the building.
Mhm.
And the current building is 2,300 square feet. So basically they're asking for C3,
So they can
well,
expand it.
C4
So they can expand their building.
without limitation, right?
Well, you gotta have expanding way, I guess I'm looking at it, I'm trying to figure out.
They're still gonna have to meet all the development
Right,
requirements, yes.
what's the one beside it, where's that? Yeah, what's that right beside it?
We're gonna talk about
It
that.
is,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's on our list.
Oh, all right.
well, right now it currently is commercial.
No,
Not behind it.
CRV 15, that one is currently RLD. We'll talk about that.
Next to it is the Arden Law Firm. I don't know what it's currently zoned, but I mean, it has a sign out front and everything else.
Yeah, that's
Next to
currently C1, correct.
Okay.
So again, you all, we're not expecting you to vote on these tonight. In fact, I think,
That's
Gus, you have a
December 3rd.
little script to, in fact, if you go to the next slide, just for public consumption, the next steps on the zoning change applications, we anticipate, Gus, that you would open the record for written testimony on these new ones only.
So my question is, for these new applications, the neighboring property owners, are they gonna be notified?
No,
Up to them to find out.
no, it's the same process that we're going through with this whole comprehensive zoning. So it's exactly like all the other applications that we've been discussing here. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure. I did.
Okay.
Can you print the, okay, I'm gonna remember.
Did the dry cleaner request something prior? Cause I thought
Not in this
there was
process.
another dry cleaner that. It rings a bell, I'll have to find it, but
Region 3. I'm recalling in region 6.
So all of these new applications are part of the testimony that you all received from September 17th to October 22nd. So they were already sent to you as a part of the testimony, and they will be provided online as part of the summary of testimony. So it could be that you already looked at this application.
Maybe, yeah. But the issue now is the public hasn't had an opportunity to weigh in on these new applications. And so that's why we wanted to present them up front at this meeting, so people can go back and listen to this discussion. And then take written testimony up until the December 3rd meeting, where you all will actually deliberate and take a vote on these 7 new applications at that stage. And the written testimony would be only on these new applications, not on the others, which you all are gonna discuss and hopefully vote on tonight. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay,
and did I step on
all
your
right,
toes?
any other questions? All right, the Planning Advisory Board now opens the record for public testimony on the new comprehensive zoning applications submitted during our PAB review period. Region 6 and Region 5 will be accepted up until November 19th. Verbal testimony will be heard at the public hearing on Wednesday, December the 3rd, 2025. Okay,
Right on time.
now. Public testimony. Summary of testimony, Patrick.
So now what I would like to do, and I think Region 5 folks can probably leave, if they would like to. They're gonna come and give you a whole rundown on their region and their testimony received at a later date,
Next
but
time, yeah.
tonight, I and then Eric for Region 8 are gonna kind of go over the summary of the testimony that we received in this testimony period on the other applications that we had got, all of the zoning changes and the draft plan and such. So let's go to the next slide, please. So this is a very simple breakdown of testimony submitted during the PAB public review process. And as you can see, nearly all of the comments are focused on zoning recommendations, but this actually doesn't totally reflect. We did receive a handful of phone calls and emails that we were fielding. Those tended to be a little bit more general in nature, where people were just asking for more information on the general letters that were sent out to all the property owners and that kind of thing. So we did field a little bit more than what you see here, but most comments were about zoning, but there were just a handful of comments in Region 6 that were focused on the plan itself. And briefly, there were some conflicting comments about calling the existing commercially zoned area at Route 3 and Millersville Road a community hub. There were some general concerns region-wide about traffic, commercialization, intensification, and certainly wanting to maintain rural character. We've heard that throughout this process. Some folks, there were a few comments on recreational aspects, need for public water access, need for restrooms on the South Shore Trail, concerns for recreation and parks projects, especially around Valentine Creek Park. And that one, just I would note, is still in planning stages. And then there was a comment supporting accessory dwelling units in the region. So that was kind of it on the plan itself. Everything else was focused on zoning. And so I'll kind of dive into some of those. If you'll move forward to, here. So the way I'm going to do it is the way that I did it in my briefing. I'm going to start in the northeast part of the region, east of 97. And then I'll go to the southern portion of the region, and then we'll talk about the west, everything west of I-97, okay? So first, on the east side is got one that Lawrence, I think you were, or one of you was asking about earlier. So, this is 1341 Sunrise Beach Road at the corner of General's Highway, and this is across from that new fire station that is under construction now. The site itself is 1.7 acres. The planned land use that was adopted with the general development plan, it was rural. Plan 2040 had noted, however, that the need for expansion of commercial unit uses in this community should be discussed during the region plan process. So here we are. Currently, this is zoned RLD. The applicant requested C3 in order to facilitate redevelopment along General's Highway. OPZ, we had recommended C1 zoning, not the C3 that was requested. The SAC recommended retaining RLD zoning, noting that they did not want to extend that commercial area to the other side of Sunrise Beach Road. In public testimony, we received 13 comments. All of them were in opposition for different reasons to the draft recommendation of C1. So we had 8 comments that supported maintaining the existing RLD zoning. And these cited traffic concerns and compatibility concerns with the surrounding residential areas. There were 5 that supported the owner's request for C3, noting that the noise from the new fire station would be incompatible with residential use and that there's difficulty selling the parcel under its existing residential zoning. I would note, and this was, I think, brought up in the testimony, that OPZ had recommended a change to C1 zoning back in the 2011 comprehensive zoning effort, but that was reversed at council through an amendment. And ultimately the RLD zoning that is in place now is what was adopted at that time. Do we want to go through, I've got 2 more kind of along General's Highway. Do we want to keep going? Do you have?
Let's talk about that one.
Okay,
So my first comment would be, when we look at comprehensive rezoning, one of the things we have to look at, has there been a change in the character of the neighborhood? And when they build a firehouse across the street from you, there's definitely a change. Now, the firehouse is not operational yet, but once it is operational, there's going to be a lot more activity. So we can discuss it, but I think that the recommendation to go to commercial makes sense, not to keep it residential. And the problem with C1 is that there's not a lot of uses in C1 that you can find tenants. C3 does give you many more options. It's 1.66 acres. And I support recommending commercial. The question is whether we recommend C1 or C3. Comments from board members? What do you think, Elizabeth?
I agree. I drove all this today and, I agree. I think there's no way that they're gonna be able to sell that property. I say that, but I've been proven wrong before. With that new fire station, which is very large, 4 bays, it's a very large fire station, there will be 24/7 activity for sure.
Well, the other factor is our LD zoning is 1 house per 5 acres, and it's a 1.66 parcel. So that is really very limiting to retain that zoning on that parcel.
What is the zoning for a fire department?
the fire department and all those other pink areas, all of that is currently C1 already adopted on the map.
And then you said those 2 guys over there, CRB 15, 18, 16, or 1107 and 18.
93,
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah, yeah,
3 or 8.
correct. So, and in
Well,
there.
one is Bergman.
Right, on the corner is Bergman's.
Oh, those are consistency
That's-
changes? Yeah, so that's why OPC's recommendation for consistent. Okay.
Yes.
So I guess I agree with. God, I agree with C1 or C3, but I would leave. I like what you recommended,
Well,
but
Bergman's is recommending C4,
Requesting, yeah.
requesting C4, so
Although C3 would do the same thing. for
C3
them,
would allow them to do the thing.
would allow them to expand above 4,000 square feet of floor area.
Oh, it would, okay.
so C3 would.
So we could do C3 for both sides.
But you're not gonna do Bergman's tonight.
Right.
Until you get.
I know, yeah, no, but I wanna make a note of that for
Make a
future.
motion, let's vote on it and move forward.
So we're making a motion to make both parcels C3?
Not Bergman's yet.
Not Bourbon Jet, okay.
You wanna hear from the public first?
Got it. Well, we would make a motion to make CZR 6CRZ0015 C3.
Second,
Okay, motion's been made and second for CZR 6 CRV 0015, which is known as 1341 Sunrise Beach Road, to be recommended C3. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries.
All right, next one. I'm actually gonna discuss 3 in this area, so. CRV 09 and, 9 and 10. These are a little bit to the south on General's Highway, at Harold Barber Road. This is where the Dunkin' Donuts is proposed. So on the left there, 2 requests for upzoning from C1 to C4. One of those, the request is to support an electrical contractor's business. The other is to support another contracting business. They are, 2.8 acres and 1 acre, although I noticed, I may be mistaken, the one on the south there actually should cover all of that area that's in the circle there. So that's something that we need to correct before it goes to council, but, so it would be all of that area that would go to, that would be requested to go to C4. OPZ and the SAC, we had both recommended maintaining C1. On CRV 9, there were 10 comments. 1 supported the recommendation to maintain C1, citing traffic concerns, and then there were 9 in support of the C4 request, citing economic development and business needs. And then on 10, application number 10, there were 4 comments, 1 supporting maintaining C1, and then 3 supporting C4, again, supporting economic development and business development in that area. And then let me just go across the street as well. If you go to the next slide, please.
I have a note about building a new park.
But is this where the South Shore, bear with me,
you go further down and that's where the South Shore Park is.
So another question, 1240 General's Highway, is it 1.06 acres or is it 3 acres?
bear with me 1 second.
Where'd you get 3? Cause I only have
I had a
1.06.
note here, during testimony, I had a note here, 3 acres. And then on the 009, there's a service station.
It's like a flag lot. There's a
Front of
service,
it?
yeah, there's a service
front.
station in front of it. I don't, forgotten what the gas maker is. But, because I was there today, as I said, I drove around and saw all these, and they stopped there and a little boy got off and walked to the back of CRV 009. Because I couldn't find it at first. I was like, okay, where is it? But because it has a driveway, see, there's this gas station, this is the driveway that goes down, and then it's behind the service station here. And it's surrounded with commercial.
So each of these in total, I meant the numbers that I just quoted in terms of acreage for the bottom one were incorrect. So it's like 2.8 acres and then 2.7 some odd acres, almost 2.8 acres on the bottom portion as well.
Right, so 009 is 2.8, but is 0010 more than 1?
Yes.
I'm hearing it's
Yes.
3.
He's saying it's about 2.8.
Okay,
The issue we have is the current use with electrical contractor and a home improvement contractor are not permitted uses in C 1, 2, or 3. That's why they're requesting C 4.
so they're non-conforming currently.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I can see more now, because when I was there today, this is opposite the Honey Bee place, Honey something Bee place. And this is a house, but you see behind it is really where all the contracting is, the business part of it.
You
But
mean
that's-
Honeybee Diner? Yeah, is that a diner?
No, the
bee
garden
production.
center. It's a
Oh, okay,
garden. It's, Honey Smith Bee
That's
Garden,
1241.
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah.
And that's the one I was gonna talk about that a little bit.
Let's talk about that also.
Okay, let's go to the next slide then.
Cause it's right all in the same area,
It's the one right across the street that I
Right.
circled
right?
here. So this one there were 2 written testimonials, in addition to the 2 oral testimonies, and all in support of the request for C3, noting the commercial nature of the existing business and a desire to construct a commercial building to expand the existing uses. OPZ and SAC had recommended maintaining RLD, noting that the existing uses and those uses in the application can be accommodated under the existing RLD zoning. And then I think Gus, you would have a question about.
Well, the question was beekeeping is permitted, but the production or the manufacturing of the honey is not. Now you're moving into a manufacturing process, and that's not permitted in RLD.
It says, so garden centers are permitted as conditional uses, and the conditions include, the third condition is accessory uses include the raising or keeping of chickens, the raising and keeping of bees, and the sale of eggs, honey, and other products relating to chickens and bees. And we also have Lynn Miller, who is our zoning assistant, deputy planning and zoning officer for zoning. She's on virtually and can answer.
So this is the property. Apparently they're operating out of temporary trailers because the building burned down.
I think this is the one that had, they have a store right there and it's like, they have, nursery and bees and some other stuff.
That's
Mhm.
correct.
Yeah, and they wanted to expand, right? And they just needed,
Yeah, they want to expand, and if they retain RLD, they're not going to be able to expand.
so they requesting C3.
And they're temporary buildings because of a fire that occurred a while back.
Right.
So look at a street view of this. Or do we all know?
We've got,
Yeah,
I've got it.
Okay.
This is one across the street,
Mhm.
this is them, and then Berkman's is up.
Beach girl.
And this is residence is right across from. Okay, so this is, the Honey Smith Bee and Garden is 1249 General Highway. We also have 1241. Which,
That's 0400. One.
Yeah, what do you see on 400? I forgot about it.
So I got a question. Is the auto
I must have an old sheet. I swear I have an old sheet.
where right
I
there,
really gotta-
that start C4? Brownsville Auto Repair?
No,
I would say. Yeah. I think that's just that.
That's the old gas.
yeah, that's further up north of,
Going up, right?
Pearl Harbor
Okay.
Road. You wanna look at you want me to share my screen and show the street view real quick?
Okay, so we have, what about on the corner, literally on the corner there? I mean, that's already commercial.
That's
Yep.
C1, and that's where the Dunkin' Donuts and a couple of other things are going in. There's that historic house that's gonna be preserved as part of that development.
Oh, I didn't know that. So can you explain that?
So there's an approved development application, related to that property. Yes, there's a 4 square house on the
Right.
property that will
I
be
see that. Yep.
preserved, and then behind it, I think it's a 3 unit little retail building that is going in
Okay,
behind it.
and that's already C1.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that's going in under that C1 zone.
okay. But, okay, I make a recommendation. I make a, I move, so I gotta get used to this again. I make a motion to change one. Okay, no, I got it. To change, I make a motion, CZ R6 CRV 0016 to C3, which is the honeybee place.
No,
One,
No,
Honeybee-
isn't that 0400 or no, that's,
oh, yeah, 0400 is 1241 General Highway. That's the
That's
Honey
49, that's the honey.
Honey Smith Bees and Garden.
Right.
Correct.
Is
That's
one,
what you,
is 1249
no, it's 0400,
0400.
CRV 0400.
or one?
1241 Denver.
Okay, 1241, okay, CZ R6 CRV 0400 to C3.
a second.
second. Okay, there's been a motion made for CZR6 CRV 0400, known as 1241 General's Highway, to recommend that zoning be changed to C3. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries.
And do you all want to
You want me to
go
go
across the
back?
street?
Yeah, go back across the street. You want me to keep going?
Yes.
Somebody else want
Yep.
to do any of this?
Rolling.
CZ R6 CRV 0010 to C4.
And 0009 for C4, the electrical contractor. They're next to each other.
Right. However, the reason why. Okay, hold on, I gotta go back to that. Because I understood that there was capability, didn't you say there was capability to do what they wanted to do for C3? No,
No, not on these.
okay, keep it at C4 then.
Is there a second?
Or did you want me to make a motion?
So we're doing 09 and 10,
Right,
okay,
Okay.
09 and 10 to
Motion's been
C4.
made, CZR6 CRV 0009 and 0010. And those properties are known as 1222 General's Highway and 1240 General's Highway. Motion is to recommend C4 zoning. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
And the plan use accordingly for all those that we've already done.
I've already- yeah.
We gotta get back into this.
Land use
Now she says it.
Did Mr. DePietro, was that the second?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I would also make a comment. I'd like this comment to be in our record that the zoning classifications for electrical contractor and a home improvement contractor, depending on their size, they should look at permitted uses in C 1, 2, and 3, depending on the size of the contractor. Because having to change, all these contractors having to be in C4 does not, it should give them a little bit more wiggle room. They should look at those classifications and adjust.
And I would add bee production.
The production.
So we still have the 0016.
We didn't really get. So we're gonna bring that up for discussion. Unless you all want to, or if you have others for discussion in kind of the northeastern part of the region. That you all wanted to bring up.
See, I put that
I
down.
do
as
have
honeybee.
some, but let's, do you have anything else? Go ahead, I'll.
Not in this portion of the region, but I do going south. And then west.
So what is 1249 right now? Is an acre, it's currently RLD. But what are they trying to do? It's not, it's residential currently, 1249 General Highway 0016.
Bear with me 1 second.
It's residential.
And it looks like it's still
It
residential,
still looks like it's residential.
right? That's,
Right.
well, the
RLD
general
currently-
contractor across the street looks residential too. They got a little piano painted on their fence. So, but
But even the house next door, but I mean, it looks,
1251, yeah.
1251 looks like this.
And, but then you have Severance Performance Center behind it, which is, looks like it's an auto body shop.
You, Elizabeth, you said 0016,
0016,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
1249 General's Highway.
It's just south of the,
I was
The
looking at the
honeybee
wrong
place.
one,
Honey,
yeah.
the bee.
This one, the applicant just said, I would like to change the zoning to commercial so we can have the office and paint store there.
Can they have that where they are, the way it
Yeah,
is right now?
that's our RLD. Do we wanna look at,
Office and paint store.
let me share my screen real quick,
Okay,
and am I able to do that now, Jesse? Okay, here we go. All right, here's the. There we go,
I use my phone.
street view, so this is the Honey Smith farm, we're sitting in General Highway. This is the house, the 1/6 that you brought up, Elizabeth.
Right,
So currently a dwelling. And then if we turn around the. painted
I don't see
piano
any
on the wall is
paints. Paint, yeah, see, there's the piano on the.
That's it.
on the- Right, I have it here. But I don't see a paint store or an office there.
It's not there, it would be allowed under RLD. And I think that's the request, is that they would like to look at that here. Based on the application. And then, of course, there's no application for this right now.
There is not.
No.
Okay. Then I would not, I would leave it as recommended.
Okay, and then just to be clear, that's where Dunkin' Donuts is going in the back there.
And the house stays historic.
Mhm. We're almost gonna be done with it, but yeah.
That's too bad they couldn't make it a Dunkin' Donuts and.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop. Sharing. Let's go back to you.
Okay, so
Alright.
back to the other CRVs that we need to discuss.
Do we want me to keep going, to the southern portion of the region, and
Okay,
then
yeah.
if you have others to discuss,
Go ahead.
we can get to them.
We can
Um,
always go back.
All right, so Jesse, if you'll go to the next slide, please. This is CRV 0012. This is on the north side of Honeysuckle Lane, adjacent to the Eisenhower Golf Course. And for this one, they've, sorry, I'm struggling with my computer here. They've requested RLD, which would be a change from the existing RA. And the reason is to support low intensity residential uses. It's a 34-acre site and it's developed with one single family home at this point. OPZ and SAC recommended maintaining RA zoning compatible with the surrounding area and the rural sewer service area. There were 4 testimonials received. One was in support of maintaining that RA zoning, citing traffic concerns. And then there were 3 that supported the RLD request, noting that it would permit subdividing the property for the owner's children. You want to go to the next one?
Yeah, let us think about that. That's surrounded by the golf course, correct?
Yeah, to the north is that.
That's surrounded by, but it's more
On the north side.
on the north side, right?
It's 34 acres.
On Honeysuckle Lane, yeah, to the,
And if they
Is-
don't
is there-
build it for their
is there water
grandkids,
and-
there's,
Water and sewer.
Yeah.
Service there.
it's rural sewer service area.
thank you.
Right, let me double check. The water,
There's no county water, there's no county sewer.
Or both, not in favor.
Yeah, it's not.
it is immediately adjacent, so to the west, it is that Summerhill, mobile home park. So that's what you see immediately to the west of the site there.
But if it's 34 acres, they can still build. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is
I think
rural
you can do,
water
I don't
service.
think the big family can manage to see that. I don't think it needs to change it.
But while we're on this, are we in agreement that should we say RA? Yep, okay.
Okay. The next one, if you go to the next slide, Jesse, CRV 0013, this is just off of Crownsville Road and adjacent to the Ren Fair property. In fact, this site is partially used for parking for that event. Currently RA, they've requested R1 zoning. OPZ and SAC recommended maintaining the existing RA zoning. This is about 102 acres total, and there were 9 comments received. You all heard from them in the oral testimony as well. 7 of the comments received were in support of the OPZ recommendation to retain RA, citing traffic and school capacity concerns. And then there were 2 that supported the R1 request in order to address the county's housing shortage.
One question, zoning water, water sewer,
Same question. Have that listed in my cheat sheet.
And 100 acres is a big park, so I'm not for giving them
Rural water and,
100 more.
yeah, rural sewer service
Well,
area. Would be what, 40?
and probably 40.
40 yes.
Elizabeth,
Keep it.
keep it RA. I think that's a consensus. You have everybody.
Okay.
So Jessica, when we are in agreement, we don't need to make any motions, correct?
If you agree with the staff recommendation, you do not need to make a motion.
we don't.
So move on.
Next slide, this is CRV 0014. It's Epping Forest Road, just barely touching General's Highway, right across from that is on General's Highway there. approximately 3.8 acres. The current zoning is R1. The applicant has requested C3 zoning to support redevelopment on the site, and they included an interesting graphic of small scale commercial that they wanted to put alongside the South Shore Trail. OPZ and SAC recommended maintaining the R1 zoning, noting the proximity to the Pearl Town Center, which you can see in purple just below. There were 4 comments received, and all were in agreement with retaining R1, noting the overall character of the area is rural. That was their comment, not I'm not sure I would call it rural, but anyway, it is low density residential, and then there were concerns with traffic issues at that site. And then let me go, it's really the same graphic, but if you'll go to the next slide, Jesse, just to the south, these areas that are outlined in red at the very bottom, CRB 0003. This is about 10 acres. It's 4 properties that total about 10 acres. So just to the south of that water tank that is on General's Highway there. These properties, a little bit backstory, these properties were brought into the Pearl Town Center with the adoption of the Pearl Town Center master plan and in 2023. And so they are currently subject to the Pearl Town Center overlay zone that has a number of additional allowances and development requirements for town center style development. So this zoning application request for town center zoning, it's really consistent with that location already within the Pearl Town Center. And the applicant just wants to facilitate redevelopment of that site. It does include I think a contractor's yard, and I believe that there's a vacant building as well on this site. So OPZ had recommended town center zoning, and we had also recommended moving this area into the town center policy area and the town center plan land use, of course, and then moving this whole area into Region 7 so that it would be considered in future planning efforts with the overall Pearl Town Center area. The SAC did not come to a consensus on this application. Testimony, we received 4 comments that all supported maintaining the existing R2 zoning, and there was these noted concern about intensification of zoning in the area. That's it. That's what I wanted to share.
I had a note about a water tower,
Mhm.
that there's a water tower that separates.
It's that, yes, so it's the larger area in R2 zoning that is right up against Rolling Mills there. Yeah, that stays R2.
I was gonna ask you that, isn't that big space right there where the construction of the tower going?
There's an existing tower right here.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, so,
it's the area to the south of that.
Well, we support the town center recommended zoning is good. Elizabeth? Okay, we support the P&Z recommendation.
On the town center.
Town center.
On the town center.
yeah, see, that's gonna, Region 7. And with the,
Yeah, that's kind of a plan recommendation. So if you support that as well, that would be good to know, moving it to.
Okay,
Okay, so what about the one on Epping Forest Road? Did you all support retaining R1, or did you want to support C3 or something else?
which number is that then?
that's the
14, CRV 14, do it back. If you back up one slide. Yeah,
I recommend what OPZ recommended, retaining R1.
R1, keep it R1.
okay.
Can you pull up one? R6 CRV 0005? There's a lot of comments on this. This one's interesting.
A whole mapping application is in now.
It's known as 1861 Crownsville Road,
Oh, 1860.
1861.
I have that, I'm coming to
Oh,
that.
you're coming to
Give me,
that. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
give me
All
a,
right,
give
well,
me, let me get through
All
that.
right. Continue.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you asked, and are there others? And so this covers everything to the east of 97. Is there anything that you all know of in that area that you want to talk about? And we can come back to it later too, but general highway area, basically. Okay. Okay, so then let's move on to slide 27, if you don't mind, Jesse. I think it's like 2 or 3 down from there. That one, okay. This one, so we're up in the northwest part, just off of Millersville Road, or just east of Millersville Elementary School, actually, and south of Millersville Park, which is that very dark green area to the north there. The owner here had requested a change from RLD to R1 to be able to subdivide and construct an additional house. OPZ and SAC recommended retaining the existing RLD that's consistent with the surrounding area, and they do have accessory dwelling unit provisions that they may be able to take advantage of. Anyway, we got, and I bring this up only because there was testimony, 6 comments in total, 5 agreed with OPZ and SAC. Some of the comments just kind of blanket said no commercialization, but I think that they may have been confusing this site with another one that I'm going to talk about next. And then there was one note that just that the surrounding properties are smaller and R1 density would be similar to their built conditions. There was one comment in support. You all are in support of maintaining RLD. We can move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Move on.
Next, this one, MRB 0003, the corner of Millersville Road and Route 3. There are 7 acres in total. Well, no, I'm sorry, 7 acres. There were 2 parcels. 7 acres on this larger parcel, which is 0003A, and then 1.4 acres on the smaller parcel, which is B. There's existing C2 zoning on the large parcel. So that's the zoning that's in place adopted currently. And then the smaller parcel currently is RLD zoning. Both properties are in the critical corridor development policy area, owing to the location on Route 3. OPZ, we had recommended C2 for both parcels in order to provide more unified redevelopment potential. And this would involve a change of the planned land use on the smaller parcel because it was adopted as rural with the GDP. The SAC recommended maintaining the current zoning on both. So they recommend C2 for the large parcel, maintain RLD for the smaller parcel, so no change. We got lots of public testimony, 39 comments in total. There were 16 on A and 34 on B, and some comments addressed both parcels. So that's why I can count, I promise. Okay. I read in my notes, the numbers get fuzzy because some comments were more general or universal of both than others. We did get 5 comments though on the larger parcel that opposed further commercial development of the property, and 3 that requested the county buy the parcel. I just kind of want to say this for the record. And then there were 37 comments on the smaller parcel that all opposed the C2 recommendation, citing the rural historic character of the area, traffic safety concerns, and the need to protect the Jabez from development and runoff. Both lots are in the planned sewer service area, but if you look at the map, the closest sewer main is well to the south, if they get connected also.
If I'm not mistaken, that sewer main's coming up Route 3 now.
There's a lot of comments. Let me read one.
And I know it's coming up. It's already past McDonald's.
SAC, it says future development should include enhanced protection for the Jabez branch, impacts on surrounding residential areas, and a safe crossing for the South Shore Trail over Maryland River. That was what they referred to when they were talking about the county buying a piece of that property, to try to get it. The trail across from the river.
Yeah, and during the public outreach portion, we had heard, and during the preliminary as well, there are folks that would be interested in this being preserved as a park or, I think in the plan, we identify this as a community hub area, but with kind of a trail-oriented focus to respond to the South Shore Trail. The bottom line is, though, that the large parcel is currently zoned C2, and they can do whatever's allowed under C2 regulations currently.
The smaller portion, I know the total is 9.98 acres. What part is that smaller part, you know?
Yeah, it's 1.4 acres.
I don't have that, but it would be very controversial. There's a lot of comments on this.
I disagree. I would make it all C2. I was out there today. It's surrounded by commercial. If they want to build a connection to the trail, there is opportunity to do that either on 97. I mean, you're talking about going over Route 3. So that's not gonna affect this piece of property at all. What are you gonna do?
Well,
I mean,
the South Shore-
1.92 acre, 1.4 acres is RLD? Why not make the
Right.
whole, why not make it all consistent?
Yeah.
I mean, that's been the goal of OPZ, is to make them consistent, then we should make it consistent, make it all C2.
And they are under the same ownership, so that is why we had recommended C2.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But there are a lot of folks in the community who have a lot of concern about this
Very
parcel, this.
controversial. You want to make a motion?
Yeah, sure, I will make a motion to keep, I don't need to make a motion. Your OPZ recommends C2.
Right, I think we're in line with the OPZ recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, too.
We support OPC's C2.
I'll make a note. I don't support it, but we're not voting on it. Van, what are your comments?
I say, I support it to be C2.
All righty,
Cause you're only
moving forward.
All right. This you were getting at, Gus, if you'll go to the next slide, please. This is on Crownsville Road, just south of where it goes under 97. So if you know where the DPW yard is and all of that. This is a site that's currently zoned W2. It's a 7.75 acre site. It has a rubble processing facility kind of at the back, and then toward the front, there's an auto truck repair. The applicant had requested W3, which allows rubble processing as a special exception in W3, but they would like to go to W3 to kind of perfect that. This rubble processing has existed on this site for decades. And I even went back looking at aerials from the 1980s, and you can see it in place at that point. So long before this adjacent neighborhood that you see just to the south and east, rubble processing has been allowed or had been allowed in the past in W2 as a special exception as of 1998. But then that was not carried over when there was a zoning code update in 2005. And so it's no longer permitted in W2. The rubble processing is allowed, like I said, in W3 by special exception. It does require a 10-acre site. This would be just under that, so they would need a variance to do that on top of.
So to clarify what Pat just said, is they were conforming up until the 2005, and they've changed the rules of the game. Now they're non-conforming, and they want to get back to conforming.
Yeah,
But. No, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, yeah, so at one point they had a non-conforming use designation. I bring this one up because there was some recent research by the fire zoning division in in light of the upcoming, Article 18 work that they were doing, that revealed that that non-conforming use may have been terminated on this site back in 2015. So this is new information that we have, and there's still some more research that needs to be done. The applicant had indicated that the non-conforming use is still active. But all of that aside, if this were to be rezoned to W3, it would partially perfect that existing rubble processing use, but it would still require a special exception to be approved by the hearing officer. And it would require variance to that 10-acre
They have 2 acres.
site requirement. But this, again, this is a use that's been here for ages, long before some of the other uses immediately adjacent.
So why would, if you're trying to do the consistency, which we hear over and over again, OPZ recommend W2?
That was our recommendation prior to some of this research that we just got as of literally this morning.
Okay.
I'm not kidding.
Make a motion, somebody.
Other than that.
W3, right? Yeah. Make a motion for CZR6 CRV 0005 to go to the request zoning of W3.
I second.
Okay, motion's been made
And
for CZR 6 CRV 0005 1861 Crownsville Road. To recommend W3 zoning and the planned land use map accordingly. All in favor? Aye. Van?
Just for clarity, we don't have to say anything about variance, right?
That's not true.
I didn't hear your vote, Van.
I,
Said
you hear me?
yeah, we
Yep.
got it. Yep, got it.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Any nays? Okay, motion carries.
Those are all the ones that I had.
This week.
Yeah.
So those are all the changes that I had that I felt like I needed to discuss based on any of the public feedback that we got. Are there any others that in Region 6 that you all want to bring up for discussion, consideration?
One you have. You have one.
Everybody look through their notes.
You have.
We've already talked about all the ones that I have.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted.
Else. Can you talk about, and we're in support of OPZ's recommendation, but because it's a big parcel, I'd like for you to just cover that one more time. CRV 0174A, known as 1520 Crownsville Road, and it's 488 acres.
Can you give me the address one more time?
Page 5.
Can you give me the address? Yeah,
1520 Crownsville Road. The change to OZ zoning for a portion of this Crownsville Hospital site supports the vision and preservation goals of the 2025 Crownsville Hospital Master Plan.
okay.
We support it. It's a big parcel. I'd like to,
Have it on the record.
yeah.
It is, I apologize, I'm struggling. The wireless or the data is not coming up, and so I can't see anything, but I remember we changed a good bit of so we went through the master plan as was, put together by that subgroup that did that. And based on the uses that were in there and discussing with the folks who had worked through that planning effort, we wanted to make sure that we did any appropriate rezoning that maintained as low a density residential zone as necessary to allow the widest potential array of uses as expressed in the master plan. We did rezone a good bit of the open area on the western side of that property and up against 97 to open space zoning. And then, a mix of RLD or RA zoning, depending on what was appropriate for that would allow the uses as they were expressed in the master plan. Does that, I don't know if that, does that give you kind of what you were looking for?
Yeah,
One of
that's
those
fine.
plastic things
Yep.
in front of your computer,
Yeah,
please. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let us look at our notes before we
Thank you.
Before you close off.
close off, for 6.
Mhm. They're not doing that. That's not good. Okay, just understood.
Nope.
Take the first thing, this is, we have. Okay. Maybe plan language have 106. Right.
Anybody want to discuss any other parcels? No? Okay.
So I think at this point, we need kind of a wrap up vote on the plan.
Yeah, that's what we're getting ready to do.
Got it, okay.
Yep.
I motion to recommend approval of the development policy area and development policy area overlay changes. Planned land use changes and the zoning changes as recommended by the Office of Planning and Zoning, except those that we specifically motioned today during this meeting.
I second.
The motion's been made in second. To approve the recommendations. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Okay, now, one more.
I motion to recommend approval of the Region 6 plan recommended by the Office of Planning and Zoning, with the exception of any comments that we've noted tonight.
Second.
Second motion's been made in second to recommend approval of the Region 6 plan by the Office of Planning and Zoning with the exception previously noted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Okay, one more.
Go ahead. I'm not sitting next to them again.
I motion to recommend approval of the development policy area and development policy area overlay changes, the plan use changes and the zoning changes for Region 6 as recommended by the Office of Planning and Zoning with the exception of any that were specifically discussed during the meeting.
Second.
And motion been made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion carries. With that, we're gonna take a break. Right. Right.
And then we can get to 8. Right, we can do 8. Can we do 8?
So. Eric, you're gonna do 8, right? In a couple minutes, yeah, all righty.
Thanks, you guys.
Hey, Gus.
Done.
Yeah,
She's,
Van, yes.
Ben has a question.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to break off now. Are you guys able to move forward
We're
with?
good, yes, we have a
Okay.
quorum, we're good, thank you, Van,
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
No, I know this guy.
Okay.
All right. Whenever everybody's ready.
Okay, November 5th, and it is 6:55. This is the planning advisory board meeting. And at this time, we're going to discuss the Region 8 plan and the comprehensive zoning map, and a summary will be given by Eric Federer. Eric, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm up here with Jessica Levy, who you all know very well. So I'm in very good hands up here, in case I forget anything. Very similar to Region 6 that we saw earlier tonight. This is a breakdown of the summary of testimony we received. This does not include any phone calls we received. We did receive a handful of phone calls as well. But most of those phone calls, and as you can see, a lot of comments on here, were just general questions or comments, how to access things, or where do I go, or more about the process, that kind of stuff. But we did, the bulk of the comments that we did receive were on owner applications. There were a few also on the consistency changes, as well as OPZ staff recommendations as well. And we'll touch on those throughout the night. So the Region 8 plan, comments we heard during the public hearing process, there was one comment that we heard from a couple of people, and I think a question from one of you all asked about the assisted living facilities. Per county code, there are 3 types of assisted living facilities. As far as residential districts, there's community-based ALF 1, and those are permitted in all residential districts and allow up to 8 residents. There's community-based living facilities 2, and that's a conditional use in all residential districts that allow between 9 and 16 units. And then there are assisted living facilities that are not community-based, and those are special exception used in RLD through R22. So basically every zoning category except for the RA district. And the zoning code does not limit the number of residents in that type of assisted living facility. Also for the record, we consider assisted living facilities to be a residential use and not a commercial use. And then a couple of concerns that we heard during the public testimony were in part because the community-based assisted living facilities are not a special exception use. There's no public hearing before the administrative hearing officer. While that's correct, there are community meeting requirements under Article 17 that would be the best opportunity to voice concerns and voice your opinions about a proposed site plan or impacts on infrastructure. So again, we just wanted to address that. I know there was a couple comments we heard from a few people during the testimony meeting.
And I'm sorry, I'm assuming that the amount of residents probably is from what the health services determines that.
Well, I think it determines on what they apply for. So again, if they're doing a community-based 1, they can have up to 8 residents. If it's 2, they can have up to between 9 and 16 units. So it depends what they apply for. One, it appears the assisted living facility 1 is essentially kind of just permitted by right. So you can have up to 8 kind of by right, from my understanding. But then when you do the 2 or the non-community base, you either need a conditional use or special exception. That's a different layer of application process essentially. So you have to meet different types of conditions. Or does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, my point was that I wouldn't believe, I don't know the answer, that you could put 16 patients in a 4-bedroom.
No, and I think that would probably come into the fact. I'm not speaking, I don't know this
Yeah.
very well. We can ask Lynn if we want more information. But that's my understanding. They would go through that type of review process.
Gotcha.
So another comment we heard, on the plan was, we heard comments regarding the need to discuss water quality and the mining and reclamation sites. This can actually be found on page 37 of the plan itself. There is a little section on that. Additionally, regarding the wastewater and treatment facilities near mobile home communities, this is touched on briefly on page 39, but I've been in contact with the Department of Public Works throughout the Region 8 process, and the county is continuing to work on getting the minor system upgrades. The county is working with Office of Law to determine the criteria we will need to start discussions with Maryland Department of the Environment, as well as the private owner of the responsibilities, process, and funding. So it is a work in progress. It is a lengthy process, but there's steps being taken to address those concerns as well. And then finally, there was a question about the park equity analysis and why the standard is different for South County. Long range planning and OPZ did not conduct that study. That's the Rec and Parks Department. But the park equity analysis has a methodology section, and in that section it states that it evaluates the degree to which parks and recreation facilities are accessible to populations that are typically underserved by such resources, including areas of high population density, high concentrations of poverty, high concentrations of children. So all of that came into factor for the different standards, is my understanding. So that's the comments we heard, and that's the comments we wanted to address tonight. If you guys have any other questions about the plan itself, I'd be happy to answer them, or we can go right into the comprehensive feedback.
So getting back to, a question I had, childcare. Is that permitted in RA zoning?
Yes, I believe it is, with I think a special exception.
Any questions? Moving on.
All right, perfect. Moving on to comprehensive zoning. Similarly to the last time we presented in front of you, we'll start up north in Davidsonville and work our way south. And mostly in alphabetical order. There are a few we grouped together because just two communities had 0. We wanted to group that and make it easier. There were really only 8 specific properties that staff wanted to discuss with you tonight. Obviously, if there's anything else you want to bring up, we'd be happy to answer questions. But there were, again, 8 areas that we wanted to really show based on either public comment or things we've heard. So the first one is in Davidsonville. Again, this is the one that had the bulk of the applications and bulk of the changes. It's also one of the largest community in Region 8. Next slide. First, right at the top of Region 8, this is right under Defense Highway at the top of the screen. This is the border of Region 8 and Region 5. So the area you see circled is an area that is being recommended to change from RA for small business. This was in part an owner application for a couple of these properties, as well as a staff recommendation for the other properties in the area. The application and staff agree that this area is not well suited for residential neighborhood anymore, simply because there is intense industrial and commercial uses immediately to the west. The application for 001-002 showed photos and other pieces of exhibits showing light pollution and other constraints that is being affected on these properties directly. So staff understood that this small business is designed to be kind of a transition zone between more intense uses and residential uses, and we thought this would be a great example of it here. Again, between that industrial and residential uses here. So the entire acreage of this area that is being recommended to change is approximately 30 acres to small business.
How many total? You may have to come back to the on this, acres is that?
About, yeah, everything in small business that's being recommended to small business is about 30 acres.
Thank you.
Is it just one big plot now, or is it still gonna be separated into the? Okay.
It
So
would
there's
still be
gonna be a
separate.
plethora of different things in there, okay.
You can kind of see it's hard to see because the small business zoning shown on this map is the red overlay, and then the parcel lines are also red lines. So the red
Oh,
lines that
okay,
run
I got
straight up and down, those are mainly the lot lines. And then the ones that run diagonally, that's the SB zoning.
Yeah, that's a great point. So look at the properties with the diagonal lines. That's what's being recommended to small business.
Okay, we can all support that.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
we're in support.
Moving on, just in the same area. This is an area that, again, an owner application came in as well as a staff recommendation for this area. To recommend RA to R1 zoning. If you can tell, it's just the areas that outlined in with a dashed black line. There is a bunch of R1 there currently. That R1 has been there since about 2011, and that was an amendment through the last comprehensive zoning process. Staff has recommended to change the RA to R1 in these areas for not only to kind of put fill the holes of the piece, but the maximum amount of development that would occur in this site would be a maximum of an additional 7 homes. So while there are concerns from the community that we've heard that there would be, more development, more density, at most, it would only be 7 homes for the area. There is a no water and no sewer for this area as well. And again, this property is within growth tier 3 and subdivisions within growth tier 3, the planning advisory board reviews. So if there were to ever be a subdivision application, you all would be able to review that as well.
So we're looking at 0.03 is 4.1 plus 200 is 3.6.
Yeah, so right here where the cursor is currently, that's the SB3, that's the owner application. And then the other pieces in here outlined in black dashed lines, those are the staff recommendations.
Oh, no, I thought 200, no, it's 201.
So are
Sorry,
you
okay.
basically blending it all?
So it's more than that.
Correct.
Right, then.
That's only
if you put
201 plus
that,
203.
The whole part, but you said there's only 7 houses.
3 plus 4 plus
Back
1, yeah.
17.
Okay, yeah.
Right,
Right.
that's under the existing R1.
On your, just on that stuff, okay, right.
Okay,
So that
what
means-
about this,
7 plus,
this study about reading?
Whatever.
gotcha.
Concerns, proposals on separate, just. I'm not familiar with that.
Yes.
One of these comments, under this was the last sentence that the impact of the school district, there were concerns because of a phase 2 school redistricting study process. I thought we were done with.
Yeah, the redistricting is not part of this process at all, so I don't.
No, I understand that, but is
They-
Davidsonville in the process of being redistricted?
They did the process for North County
North
a
County,
couple years ago, like it went into effect, and now they're doing the process for South County, and so they put out some recommendations for public review.
Right,
I'm not
well, I've
sure where
read
they-
all about them.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they are in the
We've heard all
process,
about
as
that,
that is separate from us.
right,
But those comments are mainly about how redistricting could impact this community and how additional development
Okay.
could impact the school district as
right,
well.
yeah. That was on the front page of the Capitol, 90 people commented last night at the meeting. You thought we had long meetings. Okay, so you're saying a maximum of 7 homes.
From the
From the
staff
new-
recommendation.
That's
From the
just
new
from the
one.
new stuff in black.
Correct.
I'm sorry, outlined it.
I'm like, yeah, correct.
Sorry.
You guys report?
I'm gonna,
Okay, we're good with your R1 recommendation.
Moving on. So this is a property that we heard a little bit about through, I think, 1 or 2 people who provided testimony. This is a DSV 011-865 Governor Bridge Road. I believe the person who provided testimony claimed there were, a structure where a family currently lives, and then a structure that, is more historic. And it had two different tax IDs, but it's actually one parcel. They wanted the zone change to be able to subdivide that parcel. So staff looked into this a little bit, staff looked at the plat, and the plat actually says it's entitled to one bonus lot. And we asked, what does that mean? What we were told, that typically means an additional lot can be created after a subdivision in which the plat was, completed. Like how, it basically very similar to how, I guess, a reserve parcel is treated within the county. This was a family conveyance subdivision. The family conveyance is no longer a method available for subdivision properties. So in this case, the plat note would indicate that parcel 68R would be allowed one additional lot via new subdivision. However, it's zoned RA, and it does not meet the Article 18 requirements for an additional lot, the acreage requirement, 20 acres. Also, it is possible that we could allow an additional lot to be subdivided because of the plat note, but the owner would likely have to obtain a variance to do so. But the variances are not a guarantee. So there is an outlet for this parcel to be subdivided through variance process, but again, that's not guaranteed. Additionally, there was a variance granted in 2008 that permitted the development of the new home, as long as that old home was not occupied. And this whole property is about 15 acres, 15.1 acres.
And everything around it is RA.
Correct. And the dark green's open space, but yeah.
So
Is the,
if you gave it RLD, would they have to go through all that process?
No, they could do a subdivision, but they could subdivide it potentially up to 3 lots if they did that, because I think the RA is 1 for 5 acres.
that's what it is, how big is that property?
15.18 acres.
Now, on our sheet, it says 12.5, 12.4, but I know when they testified, they said 15.
I took it from there, so I apologize if my computer is not working right now.
That makes a big difference.
Sure.
12.4 is probably based on the legal definition on estate from the creation of the lot. The 15 acres might be from this app created by GIS, which includes some of the right of way in front.
So for development purposes,
They would need a survey done no matter what. to tell them
they
the
would
accurate
have to go
acreage.
through.
Research before you can check that.
What was
That they need some more work and research before they get a good decision.
Well, they argue that the RLD would help them be able to subdivide the property back to the 2 lots initially. But from staff's understanding, they could apply for a variance to get that anyway. Potentially, it's not, again, the variance is not guaranteed.
Okay, would anything prevent them from getting that variance?
I'm not too familiar with the variance process, but I know there's different criteria to why. You typically have to express the hardship, why the property doesn't conform to what you want it to do.
Why you need a variance.
The old
yeah.
house, yeah, is somebody in the old house?
Not to our knowledge.
And it's just like an old house sitting there?
That's our understanding.
Per the variance grant, or yeah, the variance granted in 2008, the existing structure is not to be used as a residence. So when they applied for their original variance to be able to build the house they're living in, the administrative hearing officer said, yes, we'll allow you to build a second house on the property, as long as that existing house that's already there is not used as a residence.
Gotcha.
So there's definitely no guarantees that they would be able to do a second house because they had 2 houses. They went to the variance, it merged into one, they went to the variance to get the new house, and he said, yes, you can have the new house, but you can't use the old house. So,
Is it a historic home or
There's no historic growth designation on it.
is there a reason it can't be removed?
That's my understanding. So if it could be removed, again, assuming it can be removed, if they were to subdivide, and it's, even if they had 12 or 15 acres, they could build another house potentially, if the house could be removed.
I've never seen that comment for bonus lot.
We hadn't either.
Yeah,
So,
I'm still working on that one, okay.
I'm just trying to figure out how the Maryland tax. That's the key, seems to go that, okay.
When you see things like that, where do you go to?
we went to our development team on this one, so.
Where do you draw this line? What does make a bonus lot? That'd be interesting hearing.
I'm gonna make it, I prefer to make it. You know, there's a lot of ifs, if this and if that, and I just don't trust the ifs.
I guess.
I go back,
would
I go
agree.
back to giving them the 2 lots to an RLD.
I mean, an RA.
RLD.
RLD.
RLD will guarantee them that they can do another.
Right, yeah, request.
Somebody make a motion?
I make a motion to, for CZ R8 DSV 0011 to change to RLD with the planned land use accordingly.
Second,
A motion's been made for R8 DSV 0011-865 Governor Bridge Road to be recommended for RLD zoning and also the planned land use map to match. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
I'm grudging.
Motion carries. Alrighty,
Okay, next.
And next is 743 West Central Avenue, or better referred to as Homestead Gardens. This was an application that came in during the preliminary review. They initially applied for C4 for the entire parcel. Go to the next slide, please. You can see on the right-hand side, or yeah, your right is, the revised request. The revised request is RA, C1, and C4. The dark pink is C4, the light pink is C1, and the green is the RA. So again, the staff and SAC initially recommended to maintain the RA zoning for this. Mostly due to the fact that they can continue to operate, as is with, the guide of, the agritourism special exceptions that they are able to, apply for and continue to. There were questions, I think, from the board about, we mentioned there was at that time, there was one comment, in a letter submitted from DACA or Davidsonville Area Civic Association, how big they are, and more about their membership. According to their website, they were established in 1974. They are a volunteer-run membership organization that serves residents of the area of Davidsonville, Maryland, a 28 square mile residential and agricultural community. As an organization, DACA stays attuned to the community, businesses, legislative activities, and impact Davidsonville. And in the letter they submitted to the board, they represent, quote, in excess of 300 members, end quote.
And DACA's recommendation is to keep it as is.
So this was the majority of the comments we received. Yes, and the vast majority of comments recommended to maintain the current zoning of RA.
Well, it's currently RA and C1.
The C1 is a very small bit up
Yeah.
here. It's mainly,
Okay.
it's what, you've seen a lot of our consistency changes. Had there not been an application, it likely would have been a consistency change, to provide just RM zoning on the parcel. It was this small sliver where the cursor.
Okay, now question. Was what we were given at the meeting posted online for people to make comments on this versus that?
So this was part of the record. It was part of the, there was an exhibit shown, on the video, and people had access to see that for sure, yeah.
And also part of the written comments we received, and it's part of the summary of comments that's posted online. So yes, it is online.
Okay, and so the comments that you're referring to, most people wanted to keep it RA even after seeing this.
Yeah, the comments came in after that was presented to the PAB.
Okay. Should I keep going?
Well,
Other people? So,
one of the questions I had was, there were a lot of comments, I read pages and pages of them. Do you have a count on how many pros and how many cons?
Yes, if you give me 1
Because
second.
I know you do that.
and remember, I mean, it was to go.
Is there-
So there were a total of approximately 40 comments received. 33 of those comments support the OPZ recommendation to retain the existing zoning, and 7 of those comments oppose the OPZ recommendation.
And has OPZ changed their view based on this?
None of this.
Is there any non-conforming conditions on any of this property?
No, according to our zoning staff, they can operate underneath the agritourism, the RA allows for agritourism, and they can operate most of their uses through agritourism. They can also have special exceptions for the remainder of their uses. So there's no use currently, as we understand, that is, restricted. as a permit.
Violation?
I believe, wasn't this changed because of the built environment? They were just trying to work on something like that?
I'm not sure, can you repeat the question?
Okay, so when they put in the application,
Mhm.
were they trying to outline a built environment? Or were they, trying to find some form of a different use?
So, how the C4 is used, you can tell from an aerial, sorry, I don't have the aerial up here. It is kind of shaped around some of the buildings, so I would assume it is built to the, plotted to the built environment.
Yeah, okay.
What?
But but whatever that business is, it can be done in RA.
Correct. Yeah.
But that was the whole thing about expanding, whether they could serve coffee, roast coffee, have bees, or produce
That's what it was.
honey.
Okay.
And that's what they're trying to expand.
They have a coffee store in their Severna Park location. That is C3,
That's the one. Okay.
permitted use there with special exception. If they want to put a coffee store here, it's not going to be permitted.
I remember this. They were trying to.
'Cause I was the one
So-
laughing about
What
serving coffee versus producing coffee.
I'm considering C3 on a portion of it. But I don't know whether I want to vote on that tonight or not.
So C3 would not allow, I believe this is where the brewery location is, C3 would not allow for that, so that would make that not conforming.
Non-conforming.
So it would, in this case, it would have to be C4 or RA,
The current brewery.
RA.
because RA allows for the agritourism. And
Okay.
agritourism allows for the,
Coffee.
yeah, or the brewery.
Brewery. Okay, okay,
Which they already have.
okay.
And one thing too, in the application submitted, there were no additional uses that they specifically called out to use. So we're going off with what's there today, because they did not say, we want to do this. They just mentioned, a potential for expansion or modernization or financial reorganization for some of the quotes that they had. So again, with all of that, not having any specifics of uses, and knowing that they can continue to operate under the RA for current uses, we are going to recommend the RA, zoning category.
I remember the coffee. And it's like to brew it, to serve it, or something like that.
Roast it or something.
Yeah, something like that. That's it.
Mhm.
I
We're gonna
know
come
they
back
were
to that.
outlining it.
Let's
In the
do it.
primary.
So then moving on, this is, so this is DSV 1217. This is actually a consistency change. The owner reached out. This is a consistency change from open space to RA. There were no, and the reason staff recommended this initially is because there are no environmental features on in the open space. If new development be limited anyway based on the size, because the acreage of the slot is 4.6 acres. So there was really no, from our understanding, with our goal to strengthen the open space for more floodplain designated parcels or community HOA land or parkland. Our initial recommendation was to remove this open space because again, there was no environmental features on the site. However, property owner reached out and says, hey, I actually want to keep the open space on my property. And he never really elaborated why, but we decided to change our recommendation to grant the owner's request to keep his open space on his property. And this is something we've dealt with in other areas of the region as well. And another reason this is up here, I guess the SAC technically voted on this. Because this is, the owner came to us after the SAC voted or came to a consensus, so we wanted this to be transparent. Yep. And then the next slide, this is the literal opposite. This is an area that has a little bit of open space, about half an acre, give or take, towards the back. There is a creek running through it. There are environmental features on this area of open space. And again, the open space designation is designed for entire parcels designated as floodplains, parks, etc. Not tiny little pieces of private property. The old property owner came to us and said, hey, I want to remove the open space and make my entire parcel one consistent zoning. The entire site itself is about 1.6 acres. So again, there's not a lot that can be done one way or the other. So staff is recommending to make the entire parcel RA.
And so less than half an acre.
And the change is about half an acre. The property as a whole is about 1.6 acres.
Okay.
So that's Davidsonville. Do we want to continue on or?
Yep.
Yeah, continue on.
So Edgewater, there's only one zoning change application that we want to discuss tonight, and this is Edgewater 0001. Excuse me. This was an area this is a parcel that's in the PUD. If you guys remember that, we talked about that briefly, as brought up at the testimony. So the property owner initially applied for C2 or C3 zoning. That's not allowed in the plan unit development for PUD outside of the BWI for need growth area for the county code. The Office of Planning and Zoning does not recommend a rezoning within a PUD to a district that's not permitted within the PUD, as the property would be inconsistent with regulations within the code. Additionally, the PUD uses within the PUD are limited by the county code by the number of dwellings. There's a special agreements. There's a unique planning process kind of for the PUD itself. The applicant can pursue a special exception from the administrative hearings officer to remove itself from the PUD. And they were made aware of that after they initially submitted early on in the process. And to my knowledge, there is no application for a special exception at this time. But the concern that the property would be rezoned, something not permitted to something not consistent with a PUD while being in a PUD is why we as staff are recommending to maintain the RA zoning for this site. The site is about 6.5 acres in total.
So let me ask you this, because I made some notes because they were there and they testified. They said that they back up to 9 acres
Yeah,
and that there's also a proposed fire department. I don't know where that.
there were talks, I think, to the property to the east at one time being the fire department, but I'm not sure where those talks are.
Where they are, okay. And then also about there was parks for future use. And I don't know where that is either. So if they get out of the PUD, can they do more under RA?
They could, if they got out of the play, they could still do the, whatever's allowed by RA code.
Regular RA,
Yeah.
without being a PUD RA?
Correct.
Okay, got it. They really didn't say what they wanted to do. That I made note of, like somebody else did. I mean, why did they want C3? Does it say anything on the application?
No, I think it was a decently vague
Okay,
reasoning.
okay. I'm good with keeping it RA.
And they own, the property owner has 9 acres adjacent to this. Is that-
There- Sorry, the representative spoke on this one and then a neighbor spoke. I don't think it's the same property.
The neighbor who spoke, I think, owns the 9.
Oh, that they back up to, okay, got it.
And that neighbor was in tune to agree.
It seemed like he was in favor of the commercial designation.
Okay.
But you can't do it in C3, so they gotta, I mean, they gotta get it, you can't do it in a
I would say
PUD, so
they
you gotta
have to
get
be
out of the
in
PUD
the-
first.
So you don't have to get out of the PUD first, but it's from staff point of view that if we want to make sure everything's consistent with code, consistent with regulations. So we don't want to make something inconsistent. Like, that's why we do the
Right, right,
land use
right.
zoning, right?
Okay,
So in theory, they could be rezoned differently and then apply. But we don't recommend that.
I'll go with same RA.
See the page?
Is it 6.5 acres?
I believe so, close to it. Are different.
5.9.
Okay.
I don't know.
It could include like if any right of way in front had to get changed. That could be in the system.
I may have gone to the middle, fixed middle.
6.55.
Okay. So that's it for Edgewater, Friendship and Owings will also be quick. We do not have anything we wanted to bring up tonight. There were no comments on these areas. So unless you have any questions. Keep on. All right, moving on to Harwood and Owensville. Same situation, no comments in these areas, nothing really that staff wanted to show up with. Again, a lot of applications, and specifically more south. A lot of people did want to apply for the purposes of subdividing their property. A lot of applicants mentioned they wanted to subdivide to give a piece to their family member, very similar to a family conveyance. But again, it's something that no longer exists. Family conveyance does not exist. Yeah. Then moving on to Lothian. This is an area where I think we have the last one we want to discuss with you. So we can go to the next slide. So, bear with me for a minute here. This is a little complicated. So the properties with the 2 big X's, these are, these are applications that end in LTN 003, A and B. The owner owns this land, but has decided to withdraw these applications from the process. So the zoning, the staff initially recommended to maintain the RA zoning anyway. The zoning will be recommended to maintain RA for the 2 areas with the X's. The same person applied the property within the circle. He applied for C1 zoning at that corner. It was staff's understanding at the time that he was the owner, but come to find out he was only the contract purchaser of the property. The contract never fully flushed out. So he withdrew that application as well. However, during this PAB review process, the current owner who owns the land also applied for C1. He said, okay, I'll take C1. I like C1. And the comments were very vague. I think you can see the raw comment in front of you. But, based on what we heard, the staff, what we heard, at the public testimony, given the concerns of the traffic, the area is not very suitable. We were, debating on changing our, recommendation anyway, so staff has a change and revised recommendation, make this corner to maintain it as the RA zone. So in all this being said, staff is recommended to maintain the zoning in this entire area.
Okay, so on page 9 of 9 in your comprehensive zoning booklet,
The top one.
go to 0400, the back page. And the OPZ recommendation is not C1, it's RA. So make that change.
Correct.
And then you
And-
have,
That you've already answered this question, but I did have a note here about childcare. And childcare is a permitted use in RA.
I think through special.
That's okay. Is all that.
is it currently being used?
No, it's vacant.
It's vacant, okay.
I believe it's wooded.
And we heard a lot of testimony from the family that lives right near there
Mm-hmm.
about keeping it, about the traffic and the site distance and all that
Mhm.
stuff, so I support RA recommendation. Is everybody with me on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but Jonathan should have wrote down scope.
and Cheney, Hamilton.
Right, that's these, right. And they wanted it to stay what it was.
Watson's Corner.
Wason's Corner next one, again, very similar, no zoning applications. The only recommended change was to open space in this area, no comments given. So unless there's anything you all wish to discuss, staff does not have anything to discuss on the Wason's Corner area.
Okay, so that leaves Homestead Gardens.
Right.
And I'm not comfortable in making a decision on that tonight. No, I'll just tell you why. Your comment that it's either C4 or RA is the only way that brings this in compliance. It's currently RA. And but the use is really more C3. It's the building, you've seen the building, it's more C3 use.
But again, it's that brewery aspect that makes it, that needs the C4 or the RA.
How long has that, company been around there?
It's been around for decades.
I think it's
Long time.
yeah, so they're grandfathered almost,
Not even grandfather, they're allowed by the agritourism.
okay,
So
okay,
they are allowed, they're not even grandfathered, they're allowed to do by law, by regulation.
okay.
What they're doing currently,
Correct.
which doesn't give them what they want to
They
do.
wanna do.
But again, the revised request didn't really talk about any new uses that they wanted to do. So again, because there was no new specifics, the staff is tempted, or is leaning for maintaining the RA zoning.
Yeah, they're going up what they have and not what they think.
Correct. Because we don't know.
When you say revised application, a revised application came in with this,
Yeah, so part of the public comment period, they've submitted this as well as some text.
that's what I'm wondering, the text part.
There's a lot of comments online on that. Public comments.
I just don't know if the people that made the comments understand. Because we did the same thing, when it first came in and said, whoa, RA to C4, forget it. We're not gonna do that, but then when we listened and we heard what they wanted to do and why they couldn't do it and one thing or another, then it was like, oh, okay. And then they also revised to this.
But again, the comments did come in after the public testimony meeting where that was presented. And
Okay.
so those comments came in after.
Okay.
No comment from most the
It was-
decided.
30 32 or 33 to maintain the RA, then the remainder was in favor of it.
7.
The comments also do note that in some of them, they say that they're specifically referencing the modified request. So some folks
Okay.
did.
They did,
But 99% of the comments all love the operation.
Yes, and that's, so, okay.
But, I'd like to table this till next week.
We don't have to come next week unless we just do this
Okay,
one.
we can zoom it. Oh,
This is the only one holding me back. Yeah, take a 5-minute recess.
can we,
Microphone, stop sharing this. And start sharing this. All right. You guys had your break. Did any new thoughts come to you?
Okay, we are going to get back, reconvene. This is the PAB meeting. On Region 8. And it is 7:55 and we'll reconvene. We finished up all CZ's requests. We're going to go back to work on the DSV 0401 when revised. That was a revised request. The original request was for 44 acres to go to C4. And we don't support that. The request was revised to downsize the C4 request. And we made a decision on this. We looked at it and the RA zoning, it's either C4 or RA, and we support C4 zoning on approximately 6 acres of this parcel. And any comments? Need a motion?
we just want to point out that it's very difficult to have a parcel split zoned, quadruple zoned, triple zoned. And so that's why there's been a lot of discussion about how to do this and to make them conforming in their operation. They've been there for a very long time. And it is a very large piece of property that we don't want to completely make commercial, but feel that it is already part of it is a commercial operation as it is operating today. So, compromise.
What's the CD number? So I can make.
Yep, we're gonna do it. Here, hold
Yep.
on.
There we go.
There you go.
Can I make a motion for CZR8 DSV 04017443 West Central Avenue to have its small portion from its red line application or the amended application to go to all C4 and to have all the land lines adjusted accordingly per the drawing given today by Mr. Gray.
The motion's been made, a second?
Second that.
Okay, the motion's been made and second for CZR8 DSV 0401. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? And that motion also is to adjust the planned land use accordingly. Okay, anything else in Region 8?
No, we just have to do the final votes. If you guys
Okay, now we're gonna do the Region 8 stuff. Does that mean we get off next week?
Yeah.
Good job. Okay. Okay,
I'm by 8.
I motion to recommend approval of the development policy area and development policy area overlay changes, the planned land use changes and the zoning changes as recommended by the Office of Planning and Zoning, with the exception of any that were specifically discussed during this meeting.
Motion's been made, need a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carries.
Motion to recommend approval of the Region 8 plan recommended by the Office of Planning and Zoning, with the exception of any previously noted comments this evening.
Second.
Motion's been made in second for Region 8. Recommendations by OPZ, all in favor? Aye. Any nays? Motion carries.
And I motion to recommend approval of the development policy area and the development policy area overlay changes, the planned land use changes and the zoning changes for Region 8 as recommended by the Office of Planning and Zoning, with the exception of any that were specifically discussed during the meeting this evening.
Second. Motion's been made in second for the development policy areas, overlays, and planned land use changes for Region 8. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. All right, that's it for Region 8.
And then just one quick other note, so thank you all for your time, thank you all for working with us tonight, I know it was a double stack meeting. But again, we are anticipating an early 2026, January, February introduction to council. And here are just kind of some bullet points about it. We're hoping it would be adopted, again, 45 days after the process and after it's signed by the county executive. So we are almost there. We're sort of early spring-ish is hopeful for the adoption of it.
Okay, great. And,
So our next meeting is the 19th then.
Jessica, when you find out about budget, get those dates out as soon
Yeah.
as we can, because we like to make, go to warmer climates in the winter and go on vacation.
I mean, I can let you know right now, like in past years,
That's
budget has
okay.
been the same
We're-
the past several years, so, okay.
Little-
Just text it to him.
I make a
Okay,
motion to adjourn.
Been made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.